Greetings, sports fans. ASMR Sports back in your business. Apologies if the mic levels are a little bit off here. I was kind of playing around with some things. Alright, folks, well, it's been a while. Apologies for the absence. As the title of the video suggests, I was up to shenanigans over the past couple weeks. I was preparing for, and then last week attending, as a dealer, a local sports card show here in sunny Fargo, North Dakota, where I reside. It was the first card show that I had sold cards that I've attended quite a number of card shows in the past, few years, but the first one I've sold at since 2019. I think the last one I did was like in the fall of 2019, like maybe September or something, like before COVID changed everything. And yeah, I remember I think the last show I did back then, I think I sold like $200 in cards, and I think one of them was a autographed Luka Doncic rookie card that I sold for $100, and looked up later and it was like $200 at the time. Water under the bridge at this point, but anyway, so that left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. But of course, that was well before, of course, the giant explosion of cards from 2020 and 2021. And I've been to enough shows, just buying stuff, to know that they seem to be much bigger, much more well attended these days than then. So I was hopeful that I would not sell $200 worth of stuff again. But I would say it went fairly well. It was interesting to do that after such a long period of time. And as you know, I sell, a fair amount online. So anyways, I'll tell you about my experiences and what I've been up to since my last video, which was it feels like a week and a half ago or something. But the cards I'm going to show you guys are cards that I priced out for the show. And I have to say, I just put these cards in top loaders in a I don't know, 100 or so graded ones, in a little 2-lane shoebox. And that's what these are from. I also had mostly unopened stuff there, and a case for display case for higher end stuff. This is kind of the more lower end. And then I had a dollar box, which I'm probably going to do a video showing you kind of what's left of that. At some point I've thought about doing a dollar box video where I kind of go through all the cards, and show you them on a live stream, and then have people, claim the ones they want, and then, maybe pay at the end. But I have to figure out the logistics for that, because I don't want to be creating 50,000 lots and then have people not pay me. Maybe they'll say if you don't pay by a certain time, which will occur during that stream, then you lose everything, and we go through those cards again in case anybody wants to claim them. Alright, so nice Wemby green. You saw me pull this on a video. I think this was from a mega box of Don Russ. I'm not sure how much I'll say about each one of these, because I kind of want to talk about the show and kind of what I've been up to. If you have an interest in any of these, let me know. I mean, the price on here I'm happy to sell for. And I might even include shipping, with some of the higher ones. So, if you're interested in any of these, and you just want to, PayPal me the money, feel free to email me, info@hotcardboard.com. Let me know which card you want. So, anyways, yeah, the show was interesting. It was a 2-day show, and I have to say, I don't think there's ever been a 2-day card show in Fargo in, the history of the world. But there's this guy who actually went to college in the neighboring town of Fargo, which is Moorhead, Minnesota. And he was the dude who was behind the first, this huge show that started in Minneapolis 3 years ago. And that was, I think, the biggest show that had ever been in Minnesota. So he's been, since then, kind of expanding, doing shows in Sioux Falls, and now Fargo, and I think maybe there's one or two other towns in there, like Iowa or something. so this was the first one of his shows, and I'm happy to see the competition because, like, the people who put on the shows, the other shows in Fargo, actually, there's only really one, maybe two, depending on how you count. Just kind of do the same sort of thing. They're one-day shows. They're on a Sunday. They're in the same place. They're the same size. They're kind of have the same dealers and the same cards every time. So this really mixes it up, which I appreciate. And so I get to this show. I'm set up. I was pretty early, and then I'm like, okay, I'm bored. I want to leave now. It's a number to Otani here to 75. But what I learned, which I kind of I'd heard this before, but I sort of experienced it directly. But what I learned is that, like, one of the biggest values of being at a show is really just sort of meeting the other dealers. And if you're a fellow dealer, you're generally always going to have an easier time talking somebody down, especially if you're buying some volume from a dealer, because everybody understands, you got to make a profit. That's when I get this at 15, but a friend of mine had a bunch of these at 10, and I was thinking I should maybe pick them up. He wanted some stuff in trade, but I wasn't really finding anything at this guy's booth. But if these are really competent for 15, which they very well may be, higher than that now. But yeah, the ones at 10 would have been a pretty nice deal. Possibly grade some of those, and I think they're worth like 120 graded PSA 10. Anyways, so yeah, if you deal at these shows, you have access before everybody can come in, so I went around and I saw everything. And the first thing I noticed is, like, hallelujah, there was one guy there who had exactly what I look for at every single show I go to, but never, ever, ever find. At least not like this guy had. He had, like, just, I don't know, like 12 or 15 different cases of junk wax era stuff. He had 89 Fleer, he had 87 tops, 88 tops, he had 89 Bowman, he had, God bless this guy, he had Elf cards from like 1987 in, full cases. Unfortunately, I wish I would have caught this guy earlier, because he actually was trying to sell all of these products, as boxes. So he opened up all these cases and put a box out and a price on it. And the price was pretty much what the eBay comp was, it wasn't like a great deal. But if that guy had sealed cases, I probably would have bought every single thing he had there. Of course, give myself a little discount, but I would have been much more interested, because everything is just way more valuable when it's in a sealed case, because then you can get, from a sealed case, boxes out of that case. And for some of those products, those are really hard to find. You really won't find many Elf from a sealed cased boxes out there, honestly. But I did buy a select number of cases from him and kind of talked him down on each of them. So I spent, like, before the show started, I'm like $3,000 deep into this guy. And I have like a mountain of junk wax in cases. I was hoping some Royce Lewis would go. These comps do seem to be somewhat reasonable. I haven't looked since then, but they may be up or they may be down. But this one's numbered to 199. He's had a fast start since he came back from injury, and I'm in Twins country, so I thought maybe those would have some interest. But yeah, I don't think I sold any Royce Lewis cards. I got a bunch of them here in a row. I've not reviewed any of these for, like, potential grading either, which probably many of them would grade well, but do I really want to wait until, like, next season to sell them? Probably not. So anyways, yeah, I was psyched to find this guy, and he was like this, like, dude, just some kid, really. He was like in his probably 20s. And apparently he had like two kind of older, I think, family members or friends there that were helping him. And they were saying, yeah, he's got a whole, like, warehouse of this stuff, where they live out in kind of like rural Minnesota. And I was like, oh man, I would love to get a list of everything you got. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So I've been in touch with him afterwards, and hopefully I can get some more of this stuff because I'm all about the junk wax, as you know. But anyway, so, I get there. I'm already like, oh, wait a minute. I already did this stack, didn't I? There was another stack that I had not gone through, I don't think. That's what happens when I don't pay attention. Oh, maybe I've done all these. Yeah, I think I've done all these. Yeah, I've definitely done this. Okay, gotta go back to the box. So, I spend all that money and get back to my table, and I'm like, oh man, I hope I sell something because I don't know. I've done to spend money, then maybe it's not so great. Although, truthfully, I'm not that worried about spending money there, but I do worry about, going to a show and like kind of not even breaking even, or like, I gotta say, like an entire weekend. Again, this is 2 days, so it's like 9 to 6 and then 9 to 3, and you have to be there early for setup, so that's like a crap ton of time. I mean, I gotta tell you, that's a lot of time to eat up, if you're not gonna get some business done. So I was a little worried about that, but I certainly did sell a few things and did better than 5 years ago or whenever that was that I last sold. But I would say most of the sales were, or I don't know, like there's just I did a couple of kind of larger single cards that I wasn't necessarily planning to sell. I just wanted to have them out, but some dealers were interested, and they kind of beat me up on the price. But it's like, well, why not, right? Still make a profit off it. So there wasn't a ton of volume of sales, but there were a few that were good enough to. And then I'm out of price stuff. So all this stuff is just from the box. So that's it. I might actually go and grab my Well, I'll just go through the rest of this box. This box I have is basically like all my cards that are roughly $5 or higher. I sleeve them and top load them. So if anybody's interested in anything, let me know. I can price it for you. This frickin' guy, PEDs, performance enhancing drugs violations. This is a rookie number 10. Actually, it's a pre-rookie kind of prospect card of Boba Fett. So what else? Yeah, so I sold some cards. It was worth my while. I think if I had a chance to do a similar show, I'd probably do it again. Especially if there were going to be different dealers there. I mean, this guy that I bought all the stuff from was somebody who I just think I would never have run into. I guess if I was just a buyer, just went to the card show as a buyer, I would have run into him that way. But I don't know. I'm grateful to have sort of early access to the stuff that the dealers have and have a chance to chat with them. It's not a bad card. I pulled this out of Chronicles. 2023 Chronicles. Can't remember what I opened of that. Did I have like a hobby box of that or something? That's that weird set. All the Panini products 2023 and newer are weird because they don't have like current major leaguers. They only have prospects and retired major leaguers. So nobody in the MLBPA as of time of printing. So I haven't opened much, Panini baseball from 2023 onward, but I opened this one box and I got a Grayson Rodriguez Gold auto, which is pretty cool. He's doing fairly decent, I think, and the Orioles are doing well too. I wish they weren't because they're competing with the Yankees for the AL East. A lot of these cards, I opened this box on video. This was a draft, 2023 draft, like a hobby box, I think. So anyways, yeah, I'd probably do it again. I don't know when the next show like this is going to happen, but I would also say, there was a fair amount of interest, to my surprise, in a lot of the vintage wax that I had out. Not necessarily a lot of people bought it, but a lot of people, I did sell a fair number of, packs, vintage packs, like the stuff that I've listed on my site. These were going to go in to the, MVP buyback program. These first pitch cards, I think, are pretty cool. I love Bob Odenkirk because I'm a huge, Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad fan. this year, 2016, Topps did this like insert set with a bunch of, kind of like, I think there's some politicians and there's some actors and singers. And so they may be the only card they ever appear on. So I think that's actually kind of a cool set to collect. That's 2017 series. I don't know what, probably like 2 or update. I don't think it's the first series. That's a Stranger Things insert. This pack is kind of cool. I've had this sitting around. I've been wanting to try to sell it. I don't really want to open it just because I don't know. There's only like 2 cards in there, so it's high risk. And I think these go for like $40-$50. But this is a 2018 like promotional pack from Panini during their Cyber Monday sale. And it's from 2018, so there's potential Otani, Acuna, Soto type stuff in there. So the card show, yeah, so there was that one guy who I bought a bunch of stuff from and who I hope to buy more stuff from. My sales were fine. They definitely were better than last time. And, so then, like, what else was at the show? Well, as you know, I've been, addicted to Pokemon, and since my last video, the addiction has only gotten stronger, really. Although I haven't really opened much, but I've been buying a lot of Pokemon. I continue to buy, booster cases of stuff. Although I've slowed that down, I kind of have mostly what I want. I wanted to pick up a whole bunch of like Sword and Shield stuff. I wanted to get, the sets from Scarlet and Violet that I didn't have yet. And, I'm always looking for deals. I'm going to probably try to sell this soon online. There's Jason Dominguez, hoping we'll see him on the Yankees. But I've been, on the lookout for retail deals on Pokemon, which is one of the things I like about Pokemon stuff is that, there still are deals to be had at retail, and they're not impossible to get. I mean, they're not the easiest always, but they're out there. And I keep thinking about there's this product called Pokemon 151, and they did a format of it, a box of it called Ultimate, what's it called? Ultimate something collection, UPC they call it. Ultimate Premium Collection, I think. There's some of my recent TPG, or TCG I should say, polls. So, yeah, they had these Pokemon 151 UPC boxes at online at Costco for like $90 for like the longest time, and I knew 151 was a very popular product, and everybody was kind of saying, the stuff's gonna be very valuable eventually, because every popular Pokemon set goes up, in value over time, the unopened stuff. So I wanted to get some of it, and I had been eyeing those UPC boxes at Costco. And I've told the story before, but for those of you haven't heard it, but like, this is kind of cool. It's like a image variation of Gunnar Henderson, and like this guy's about to freaking turn into the next major like superstar. So pretty sweet card right there. I don't know what that's worth, but I feel like it's gonna be worth a lot if he pops off the way I think he probably will in the next few years. So they had these boxes of Pokemon. They were $90, but like they've been available since they came out. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, why are they still available? Okay, so I bought like 20 of them from Costco, whatever, like a month ago. And then the next day on YouTube, there was like several people reporting that Pokemon was going to do a reprint of 151, which basically in Pokemon they reprint cards. Like if there's too much demand and not enough supply out there, they'll just print more of them, right? Because nothing's numbered, so there's nothing preventing them from doing that. So they do that kind of as a matter of course for the more popular sets, and sometimes for the not so popular sets. But I heard they were going to do this for 151, so I'm like, oh, well, that means I'm probably going to be able to buy 151 from like my distributor for like pretty dang cheap, because my distributor, if they have a product, a Pokemon product, you can generally get it quite cheap, which is very different than sports cards. Because if it's cheap and it's a good product, you ain't gonna get it from my distributor, you know. And more often than not, they just don't have any in stock. Everything sells out because, you know, people are addicts. So anyways, I heard that rumor and I was like, oh, well, I don't want to buy these things now because I think I could get them cheap. Like if I can get distributor pricing on Pokemon 151 products, then that's going to be the way to go and spend my money there. So I canceled the order. And here we are like 3 or 4 weeks later, and those boxes that I, you know, had purchased 20 of them, but I canceled my order. I'd purchased 20 of them at $80 a piece, and now they're going for $145. And they're out of stock. they went out of stock like a week after I did this, after they'd been in stock for about like 2 years. Not really 2 years, but a long time, many months. So, my point is, you can still get pretty good deals if you're not an idiot like me, on Pokemon stuff, if you can, you know, if you know where to look, and you know sort of which products are popular, which is not very difficult. You just watch a couple YouTube videos and you'll figure it out pretty quickly. But with sports cards, it's a lot harder to find products that are going to be winners and to find them out in the wild, you know, before flippers grab them all. So I just feel like it's fun, you know, because like what got me back into the card collecting was it was 2017, and Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger were, you know, going bonkers, hitting home runs every day, and all the products that they were in were still pretty available on store shelves. Like 2017 Bowman was out at the time, and, you know, Bowman based rookies of Judge were selling for $8. It's funny as I think about that, because we just saw one of those that I had comped at 15, and I told you about my friend who's selling for 10. So they're one of the rare base rookies from that era that's selling for more now than it was back in 2017. But I remember, you know, I going to Target and buying some of those cards, and cracking them open and getting like a ton of Judges. I mean, any base card out of Bowman, the Bowman base set, I think you're going to get a lot of them if you open any kind of unopened Bowman product. So I had, you know, you'd open 3 packs and you'd get like 1 or 2 $8 Judge cards, and the demand was off the charts. You could sell those overnight on eBay. And I was like, wow, this is like really cool. You could actually make money doing this. So that was exciting, and then I started to see how, you know, 2017 Bowman now is getting harder to find. If you see it at the store, you better grab it, because the flippers will pick it up and, you know, sell it out or buy it out. There's some older Leaf tennis cards. By the way, if I remember, I'll talk about the new Topps Chrome tennis set that's been announced and is coming out, I think, later this month. So I think that's why I'm so excited about Pokemon, is that you can still find some things out there. And like, you know, now, still today, I think if you go to your local Costco, you might find these 3-pack boxes where you get Pokemon 151. It's called Elite Trainer box, just a box that has 10 packs in it, and then like some tchotchkes, and then 2 like, you know, smaller sized tins, they call them, which is just a multi-pack product, for like, you know, $72 or $72.99. So it's $73 for those 2 things. Well, just that 151 Elite Trainer box, those are going for $65 right now. So you've got these 2 other tins of cards for, you know, another, whatever that is, $8, and those are worth, you know, more than $8. So you make a little profit, right? You know, just by buying the thing and then selling them. I haven't figured for eBay fees and things like that, of course, but my point is, you know, 151 can still be gotten out there, and those are drying up quickly. So, you know, I checked maybe Well, I checked I bought some more of those 151 3-packs. When I went to go, I had to go get a dolly for the card show. You know, a thing with wheels on it. You can carry heavy things. I had to get one of those at Costco. And I was like, all right, well, let me check the Pokemons. So I checked the Pokemons, and sure enough, they had still more of those things. I had to kind of dig to the bottom of a pile of them, but because there's another kind of Pokemon, it's less of a deal. But they were there, so I bought a bunch more, so I have a ton of those now. And then there's like a new product coming out in Sam's Club over the next week or two. So if you go to Sam's Club, check out if they have Pokemon there, because there's a new box, a new product of Pokemon cards that has a set called Crown Zenith in it, which is, I've decided, my favorite set, because I've opened some Crown Zenith on this channel and just got a ton of like really cool cards you can get out of there, and you get like hits at a higher rate, I think, than this one's a really cool card than any other Pokemon product, at least of the current era. Nick Kyrgios has, actually made quite a name for himself since this card came out in 2018, and of course that's a 1/1. So anyways, yeah, if you're new to Pokemon and you want a good deal, either go to Costco and get one of those 151. It's in a white box with 3 little tins, or 2 little tins on the side, and a 3-pack of things. That's a no-brainer. If you buy that in 2 years, it's absolutely going to be worth, significantly more than it is now. And Crown Zenith is, I think, also going to be very popular in time. And the price per pack is like $2.80 if you buy it in this new product at Sam's Club that my local Sam's Club does not have yet, but they are going to get them. I think they said they were going to be getting some Pokemon in the next 2 weeks. So I don't know if you're new to Pokemon, or you're somewhat interested, or you're just you're a sports card collector and you're maybe want to diversify into 1 or 2 things to hold on to for a couple of years. Those are 2 things that are relatively gettable if you have a Sam's Club or a Costco near you. As for sports cards, I mean, what could I tell you that I think is for sure going to be up in value in 2 years? I mean, I'd struggle to find anything, quite frankly. I mean, honestly, the only thing in sports cards right now that I think is fairly gettable, and that I think is likely to have significantly more value in 2 years, is 2023 basketball. With Wembanyama rookies. I think when new basketball products come out, they're usually on the shelves for a while. The last few years, those products have been on the shelves. Like, they may still be on the shelves. You can still find 2021 basketball products on the shelves because they're such crap products with no good rookies in them. But 2023 stuff, does sell out eventually. So they had Optic 2023 basketball at Target, 3 weeks ago, and that stuff would last at least a week on the shelves. So if you just go to Target, a couple times a month, you're likely to run into some. So 2023 basketball is the only thing that I would say in the sports card world you're able to find without too much trouble, and that I think is a good buy and hold type of investment. And you may say, oh, well, ASMR Sports, what about 2023 football? Stuff's, a pretty easy flip these days. And I say, you're right, it is an easy flip, but for that reason, it's damn near impossible to find. I saw the only Optic football, which hit like 2 or 3 weeks ago, at retail I ever saw was in, a basket of this guy who got there, 5 minutes before I did and bought every single Optic football product at Target. So very hard to find that stuff. Now you got Select Football coming out. If you can find that, it shouldn't be like laser hot. but it will be hot, for sure. And it's not going to be sticking around for a week. It'll be sticking around for 2 days, maybe, if you're lucky. Zach Wilson. Is he going to be playing this year for Aaron Rodgers? The old man. Man. Not sure what I've got. Okay, I've got those. So, Pokemon. I think there's just more things out there that are easy to find that are pretty solid investments. So that's why I love it. Gunnar Henderson base rookies. Wish these would go up in value. I could maybe get some of these graded, pull a little profit. So, I guess you've got a couple of my takeaways about card shows, about dealing at them particularly. But I think one of the things that I really took away, I think most significantly from dealing at this card show is that I gotta sell more stuff. I mean, I gotta just put a lot of effort into photographing and listing cards that, right now have some decent value, and, get them out of my hands, because sure, I feel like especially on singles, which quite frankly, I actually just want to get entirely out of singles. I hate single cards, except if I'm like PCing them, then I like them. But like having so many single cards around like I do is a great way to lose money, because, if you've gotten them from opening products, then you spend a lot of money acquiring those cards. And odds are 9 out of 10 of them are going to go down over a 5-year period. So really you want to sell everything, as soon as there's some value to it, as soon as you can make a profit from it. And yes, for 1 out of 10 of those cards, you're going to lose a 10x, increase in value, absolutely. But you will actually come out way ahead from selling the 9 out of 10 that have dropped in value. I have a lot of Otani cards, although I sold some at this show. I have a lot of Otani cards that I'm glad that I have now. But the reason I have them is because I opened a crap ton of 2018 product and I didn't sell like anything from it. And if I had sold all the like Verdugo rookies and excuse me, got a tickle in my throat. All the other kind of like just sort of mediocre guys from 2018, 2019, 2020, that I pulled like parallel rookies of or autos of, and that were worth, $10 back then, but they're worth 10 cents now. Along with all of my Otanis, I would be so much further ahead having done that than waiting until the Otanis now are worth, whatever, 10x what they were back then. That's another sweet card. Gunnar Henderson Atomic First Bone. Cedric Mullins dug these out of a box. I remember, he's had a couple of really solid years before this year, and I'm sure these were worth $50 at some point. Now they're probably worth like $5. So, yeah, I think the moral of the story is I just hold on to stuff way too long, and it's not entirely because that's my concerted sort of effort, but it's because, it's a lot of work to sell stuff, but, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. So, I don't know, I'm going to be the rest of this year, especially because the fall is a great time to sell cards, because the run up to like, Christmas is often a sort of height of the market type thing, and I actually, knock on wood, I'm actually quite bullish on the economy. I think there's a lot of stuff that could absolutely go wrong, especially like internationally with global conflict in Russia and in Ukraine and in the Middle East. So there's absolutely a chance that there could be a gigantic 5 or 6 country war going on in the Middle East and causing a lot of problems. But barring one of those things, and I don't know, again, I think it's appropriate to worry about those things because they're really bad if they happen for everybody. So it's appropriate to be concerned and want to prevent that, but I also think that concern is, what kind of keeps those things from not happening, because, Saudi Arabia and UAE and Qatar and, all the sort of somewhat more rational actors in the Middle East, understand what a catastrophe it would be for them if, I don't know, Israel went to war with Iran, and therefore, Lebanon and blah blah blah. So that the power brokers tend to realize these things and then take actions to prevent them. And you can't prevent everything, but you can prevent most things if you want to, and you have enough global. But boy, this got into a weird tangent, and I'm talking about global sort of geopolitical politics now. Anyways, but my thinking is that the economy will actually be doing quite well, and there was like kind of a mini sort of stock market crash a week ago, when there was like some, I don't know, economic number that came out, a report or something that suggested that maybe inflation was not going down as much as everybody had hoped. So like, there was this big sell-off. Oh, and there was like, it was made public that Warren Buffett had sold. I hope somebody's interested in this. Otherwise, I'm losing half my audience. But so there was this news about Warren Buffett, selling off a bunch of Apple stock, which is very relevant to me because I have a lot of Apple stock, folks. I might have as much Apple stock value-wise as I have sports cards, and I have a lot of sports cards. So like Apple stock went down a bunch. I mean, the whole market did really. And it's funny because, like, I swear to God, 3 days before that big crash, I had bought like a ton of stock. I think I mentioned this before. I mean, I just had like cash that needed to be invested in the market because it's not really a good idea to keep cash sitting around, or at least not more than you need. So I had put a bunch of money in the market. It was down. One day it was down like 1.5 points. The next day it was down like another point. So on both of those days, I was like, oh sweet, I'm getting a little discount. And then like on the third day, it freaking drops, 6%. And I was like, oh my God, if I had not put that money in, I would be so freaking jazzed to see this giant drop and get my 6% plus the 2 and the 1.5 and the 1 from the days prior. I mean, oh man, I would have been up like 10% right now on that if I had just waited, but I didn't wait. I was a little bit too eager, I guess, but still. Point is, the market has basically recovered from that little crash. I don't think it's quite recovered from the 2-day dips, that were happening when I was buying stuff, but the market is, sort of back believing in optimism. So anyways, my point is, I think the market will do well. I hope inflation will continue to, be kind of going down, and hopefully people will be interested in sports cards and in Pokemon stuff. Jackson Holiday hit like 3 home runs, like one home run a day for like 3 games in a row. So his stuff is popping off. Football stuff. Everybody's looking for football stuff right now because the season's about to start. Which is the time to sell, because once the season starts, 5% of the guys that you have cards of, will do astoundingly well, and their cards will go up, but 95% of the guys you have right now will not meet expectations, and then their cards will go down. So same thing, kind of what I was talking about before. Just sell everything. Yes, 1 or 2 cards are going to go up a lot, but most everything else is going to, not. So if you sell everything, you're doing much better. If you sell nothing, and then sell just the big, cards that went up big. I think the stock market and the economy will continue to do well towards the end of the year, and I think the card market, it's a little scary, because I actually do think Fanatics is doing some wacky stuff that, make it sort of less attractive to collect cards these days. I think I'm lot of cards to show you, but I do want to wrap this up. But yeah, I don't know. I will say I am not optimistic about buying much new unopened product in the sports card world. With the exception of if you can find football at MSRP, absolutely a buy every single time. But it's very difficult to do that. If you can get 2023 basketball, I think that's a solid investment. But the days of me buying a little bit kind of everything and a lot of certain things, like every Bowman product, those days are those are way over, folks, way over, because there is just too much price gouging by fanatics. They want like $300 for a hobby box of Bowman pre-order direct from Fanatics. It's like, what the hell are you talking about, brother? For one auto, have you lost your damn mind? Used to be I would buy 2 cases of every Bowman product that came out, no question. I did that in 2019. I did that in 2020, and then in 2021 it was already getting too pricey, and now it's like prices are twice as much as 2021. So like, what are we doing, Fanatics? So yeah, I mean, they are. You want to talk about inflation? That kind of nonsense is what's going on, because they're not delivering any additional value to the market. It would be one thing if they were keeping prices stable with 2021 for each of their new products. Maybe a slight adjustment for increased printing costs and stuff. But what they're doing is they're trying to cut out all of the middlemen, and so they get way more profit than they did in years prior, because usually they would sell everything through distributors or to hobby shops, or wholesalers, and so they'd have to sell at less than MSRP because the distributors got to make profit, blah blah blah, right? So they've cut all that out. They charge market price, like basically the price that the consumer pays. That's what they charge, and so that's what they get. So they're getting basically twice as much profit as a percentage of the sale to the consumer when they sell direct, and yet they still raise the bargain prices on every product across the board, every single release. So Bowman's going to be like $3,000 for a hobby box, and now basically what they're trying to do is make it impossible for for breakers to make money, because I don't know, maybe there's no point at which breakers can't sell products, but I mean, they're basically saying, oh, well, breakers are able to sell, a case of product for 15% higher than even MSRP because, they add a little fee for their trouble. We want to price it at the price that breakers were making out of our products. So then the breakers have to raise that price, and then the price of the people just buying a box to open themselves also goes up, and it's just a cluster. And Fanatics is just, they're killing their own market, is what they're doing. And I hope they stop and figure that out. But I'm not super optimistic. So that's why I'm diversifying into Pokemon. But they've kind of had a similar set of sets of challenges. They've been sort of over printing products and really making it so a lot of their stuff is undesirable, and therefore, hard to make any kind of profit off anything if you're the type of person that likes to buy unopened, or even if you like to buy singles and sell them. I mean, you're not going to make a profit if there's a bajillion of every single card out there. So they are starting to learn. I think I was like the CEO of Hasbro, which can't remember which they own. I think they own like the Magic, like Wizards of the Coast or something, and they either own that or they own Pokemon, but they own one of the major TCGs, and they fired their CEO like within the last year, I believe, and really changed how they do volume of printing of product and sort of controlling supply. is going to be good. This is all stuff I learned from Rudy at Elf Investments, by the way, if you want to check his channel out. Alright, folks. That's all I got for today. That was a long ass ramble. Hope everybody's doing well. I guess I got a lot of Pokemon stuff I want to do, so hang on to your life if you hate that stuff, because I do have some Pokemon stuff to get through, but I got a lot of unopened stuff, like non-sports stuff, and I should have some sports card stuff too, but hope everybody's doing well. We'll catch y'all later, and I'll be selling cards if you need me. Alright.